Well, there's nothing like the media trying to be the educators of America, or the world in this case. You've got the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, who is now going out of its way to teach little kids that there are over at least 100 genders, and you could go to jail if you don't agree with them. Talk about what's happening with the BBC.
Yeah, so this tax-funded operation that masquerades as an impartial news service and information service has decided that now they are going to join the bandwagon and start sexualizing and indoctrinating young children with this LGBT agenda. So they've produced a series of little short videos called The Big Talk, where they address sexuality and transgenderism and all this kind of stuff. And as you pointed out, Duke, they literally teach the children that there are over 100 genders they can choose from, that the only people who don't accept this is just because basically they're a bunch of ignorant, mouth-breathing Neanderthals, and that if you are disrespectful to this idea, if you don't agree with it, and you speak out loudly enough, you may find yourself in prison. And this is what they're teaching to little, tiny British children. So this is pretty bad.
What are the different gender identities?
That's a really, really exciting question to ask.
Do you know there are so many gender identities? So we know we've got male and female, but there are over 100, if not more, gender identities now. So we know that some people might feel like they're two different genders. So people might think they're bi-gender. And then you've got some people who might call themselves genderqueer, who are just like, I don't really want to be anything in particular. I'm just going to be me.
You know, I think this really reveals something that we have been saying for a long time. You know, the educational system has been a complete and utter failure from the perspective of teaching people how to think. Because anybody with even the most rudimentary tools of logic, of observation, of applying the scientific method would be able to tell you in a moment that there is no such thing as 100 genders or 1,000 genders or 1,000,000 genders. God created male and female, and then every, great once in a while you'll find some sort of genetic abnormality that maybe kind of confuses the DNA a tad. You cannot invent your own gender. But this is what they're teaching the children. It is utterly unscientific. In fact, it's asinine. And I guess I belong in jail for saying that. But the fact is, that is science. These people have now become open science deniers. They now want to burn us at the stake for pointing out the fact that they are absolutely raving mad. And this is not going to end well for anybody.
Well, I'm going to identify as a brand new gender categorization that I just invented. It's called biogender. That is, I am biologically compelled to acknowledge only male and female. Now, that's who I am. That's how I was born. That's the 101st gender. This is so bizarre and stupid, and I think you hit it on the head. This is anti-science. You're just making stuff up at this point. And if you look at some of those 100 genders, they don't even make any sense. They're a complete subjective mishmash. When did we reach the point that Western culture has decided, Alex, that utter subjectivity is factual and any pretense towards objectivity is bigotry?
Yeah, well, I think what's happened, Duke, I think is very plain, is that society, largely driven through the public school system, has decided that we don't want God anymore, and by extension, if we don't want God, we don't want the objective moral truths that He has established. And once you get rid of objective morality, objective reality, you end up in a situation where people can say absolutely idiotic things like, there's 100 genders, and teach that to children with tax money, and teach that to children in the public schools, and threaten anybody who points out how absurd all this is with prison time. So, I think the only real solution is to get back to our foundations, get back to truth, the fact that we are created, the fact that our Creator created us either male and female, and the fact that our Creator has established and ordained that there should be certain laws. I think the moment that we ask God to leave our school system, that we ask God to be kicked out of the public square, is the moment that we set the stage for the absolute tragedy that we see unfolding before us right now.
Alex, I make this point in my university classrooms all the time. Whether you believe or God or not, God as a placeholder is objectivity. As long as you've got the idea of God, then you have the possibility that there are objective truths and values, that truth has an objective connotation. The minute you decenter God, then there's nothing left to fill that vacuum, and politics fills that vacuum. And what we see here is the elevation of subjective politics over objective science. Very frustrating. Alex, thanks so much for this important report, and we'll be talking to you again soon.